And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Shindig Machine. What is a Shindig Machine? Apparently it's a collaborative absurdity engine powered by the creativity of you and your friends. In this game, there's 108 different cards with black and white pictures on them that are to inspire creativity, to inspire you to do different things. The game comes with multiple games in the rules. Let's take a look at it. The first thing we need to look at here is the cards themselves, and you're going to see different black and white pictures. Some of them are normal, and some of them are really odd. So I thought before we went into the games that are based on this deck of cards, we'd take a look and so you can see sort of how the artwork looks. Here we have a hot dog, I think. There's a guy with 5 aces, and well, I'm just going to try to stop describing them, and this is just showing you a little bit of what the cards are. Some of the cards, I think this is a martyr burning, which is kind of a dark thing. Some of the cards are very dark. Some of the cards are a little weird. None of them are really lighthearted, although I guess pizza is fine. Although for some reason in black and white, pizza just looks a lot grosser than it does. So there's all sorts of pictures. So you're going to have different games that you can play. And I want to say there's like 8 or 9 games in the book, but they're all, they're all based on these cards. For example, one could be a story. So on one person's turn, they put a card down to tell a story. Once upon a time, there was a couple who was in love, but the man had to leave and go to another country. And then the next person puts down a card and says, before he left, he went and visited a seer who told him that he was never going to come back alive. The next person runs. Their son was distressed. He was listening in on a walkie-talkie and ran to tell him, "Don't go overseas." But the man did go overseas and was thrown into a prison for a crime he did not commit. One night, staring at a lamp in the light, he decided he would escape from the prison. The local milkman agreed to help him out so that they could escape together. But as they escaped, the milkman betrayed him and started punching him in the face repeatedly. And that, for some reason, caused him to turn into a mutant being. And he became known as Birdman in Europe and never came back to see his loved ones again because he was so hideous. Okay, so that's one story. And I'm not obviously a very good storyteller, but there's all sorts of different things you can do. You can put down, there's a game called Superpower. You put down a card and you say, what superpower? I have the power of dance. Or I have the power to travel throughout time into different places. I have the power to use cassette tapes as weapons. There's also, you can use them to fight other people. I'm just kind of talking about different games. There's a Rorschach test where I say, okay, we're now going to talk about Tom Vasel. And you say, oh, Tom is a man in a fishbowl where everybody can see him and his family on the internet. The next person, Tom is really boring. He constantly puts people to sleep. Tom has multiple personalities that all live in the same hotel and are killing each other. So these are just a few examples of the games, but you can see basically these cards are kind of a portal to playing different games. Other games that the book talks about is having a job interview, and you use these and interview people and they have to answer with cards as their questions. Or name 3 cards out and you have to come up with a band name. Okay, so I'm going to give them points for coming up with a variety of games and games that are actually quite different in the rules. This is a storytelling game. It is not the only storytelling game in the market. There's probably at least 10 of them out there right now. Storytelling games are often not really games, but more exercises, a way for people to have fun and creativity. You can use them at parties, you can use them for get-togethers. There's often no winner or loser. People are just doing an activity. This falls squarely into that. Storytelling games can be problematic because, if someone doesn't have that creativity, in this game they say, well, there's some you can just kind of throw cards out there. That's true, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But for most of the games in here, it needs you to be creative to be able to tell stories. And for people who are creative, they tend to enjoy these games more than not. If I compare this to other storytelling games, well, first of all, I'm going to say that for me personally, the artwork in this game just really is a major turnoff. Black and white artwork, I'm not opposed to it, but it tends to make everything darker. Everything is darker in black and white, especially the way it's drawn here. And some of the cards, and I didn't show you all the cards, some of the cards I thought were really dark cards. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not saying that they were cards that I shouldn't, I played the game with some teenagers, and some of the cards I was like, oh man, I don't even want to know what you guys are going to say about those cards. And so there's that. And then there's the fact that there's 108 cards in the game. That's not very many, so you're going to start seeing duplicates really quickly. And there's only so many different ways you can interpret the Eagle Man. There's only so many ways you can interpret pizza. And I think for a game like this, if you're going to do something, and they say you don't need creativity to throw some cards out, that's fine. Then there needs to be 400 or 500 cards. There really needs to be a lot of cards, or the game will get stale quickly. So for me, that's really where the game is at. If you like storytelling games and you like one that might perhaps take darker turns, then this may be a good one for you. I just felt like even though the cards had this dark black and white artwork on them, many storytelling games give you different pictures and allow you kind of to build on those pictures in different ways. I felt like these kind of really pushed you towards one thing rather than being interpreted in a variety of ways. Some of them were good, but some of them, I don't know. To be fair, though, again, like I said, I have a high bias against this artwork. I just find it gloomy and depressing and just blah. And this is the kind of game that I want to play to have fun and friends, So, anyhow, that's Shindig Machine. If you're looking for a storytelling game with a darker edge to it, then this is probably for you. Everyone else should probably stay clear.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!